Growing up, I thought love was something you earned, like grades or trophies. Maybe that's why I tried so hard. My earliest memory isn't of a birthday party or a family trip, it's of standing in the hallway, clutching a drawing I made, while my mom rushed past to help my baby brother with his shoes. She didn't even look down. Before Adam was born, I was the only child, quiet, curious, always trying to please. But once he arrived, I became background noise, invisible. He cried, they came running. I aced a spelling bee, they forgot to show up. I remember winning a district math competition in 5th grade. I ran home with the ribbon, expecting celebration. Instead, I found my parents arguing about Adam's latest tantrum and how the school just doesn't understand his potential. He broke things, screamed in public, got detention. I got silence. If he got a B-, it was, well done. If I got an A, it was, could have been A+. He was the golden child, the miracle. I was the footnote, so I started chasing perfection, cleaning the house without being asked, learning piano on my own, reading books on psychology by age 12, hoping I'd find some cheat code to being seen, but nothing worked. Every achievement felt like a whisper drowned out by his next outburst. I didn't feel angry back then, just hollow. I wasn't unloved, I was unseen. Leaving for college felt less like a milestone and more like breaking orbit. The moment the bus pulled out of my hometown, I exhaled like I hadn't in years. No more walking on eggshells, no more being a supporting character in someone else's spotlight, just me, finally allowed to exist. I threw myself into school, majored in engineering, minored in business, graduated with honors. I worked 2 jobs, earned scholarships, and even got selected for a summer program abroad, Italy, my first time out of the country. I stood under the Sistine Chapel ceiling and cried, not from the art, but because I realized how small my world had been until then, back home. My parents barely noticed. Adam had dropped out of college that year. My mom called to ask if I could lend him money, just until he gets back on his feet. I said no. She didn't call again for months. Then came Claire. We met at a volunteer event, me, hauling boxes, her, coordinating logistics with calm precision. She wasn't flashy, but she had this way of making people feel heard, me included. Over time, I told her about my family, piece by guarded piece. She listened, never pitted. She made me feel real, seen. When I proposed 3 years later, I remember thinking, I made it, I broke the cycle, I built a life of my own, with someone who chose me, not out of obligation, but love. I really believed the past was behind me. I never planned to move back, but when a project came up near my hometown, big contract, career-defining, I couldn't say no. Claire supported the move. A few years, we told ourselves, then we're gone. We bought a modest house just outside the city, quiet, wooded lot. Safe, peaceful, for a while, it really was. Then Adam showed up. I hadn't seen him in almost 5 years. He reached out through a mutual friend, said he was sober now, working part-time, trying to fix things. I ignored the first few messages. Then Claire found one of his emails, long, heartfelt, full of apologies. Maybe he's changed, she said. It's okay to give people a second chance. I wanted to believe her. She came from a family where disagreements ended with hugs and shared dessert. Mine ended in silence, but her faith in people was contagious. So I met with Adam, coffee first, then lunch. He was thinner, quieter, said therapy helped, talked about regrets, especially how he treated me growing up. I watched him closely, waiting for the old smirk, the manipulations. But they didn't come. Eventually, Claire suggested we invite him over for dinner. Just one time, he came, brought wine, helped with dishes, complimented Claire's cooking without overdoing it. It felt, okay, not good, but manageable. Maybe, I thought, people can change. I just didn't know that some shadows don't vanish. They just learn to speak softly. It started small, a Sunday visit that stretched into Monday, a dinner invite that became a sleepover on the couch. Adam always had a reason. Car trouble, bad weather, rough patch. Claire, ever the hostess, never minded. He's trying, she'd whisper, you're doing a good thing. But I started noticing things, like the way Adam touched her shoulder when laughing, too familiar, or how he'd compliment her, not just the food, but her dress, her voice, even how she carried the room. I brushed it off at first. Maybe I was being possessive, maybe trauma distorts perspective, but then there were the private jokes, little exchanges I wasn't part of, glances that lingered just a second too long. I'd come home early and hear them laughing in the kitchen, only for the room to fall silent when I walked in. I started making excuses to stay home more, told Claire I was tired from work. In truth, I was watching, not accusing, not confronting, just observing. One night, after a long silence in bed, I ordered a basic home security setup, nothing flashy, just a few discreet cameras, front porch, living room, hallway. I told myself it was for safety, but deep down, I knew it was because something felt off. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was a guest in my own home, that something intimate was happening right under my nose, but just out of reach. And worst of all, I wasn't sure if I was protecting my marriage, or preparing for its burial. It happened on a Tuesday. I'd stayed late at the site, reviewing blueprints. When I got home, Claire and Adam were gone. She'd said something about groceries. I went upstairs to shower, then remembered, the new camera system had synced to my phone, just habit. I opened the app, and there it was, a clip from earlier that afternoon. Claire in the kitchen, Adam walking in behind her. At first, nothing unusual, but then he touched her lower back. She didn't flinch, then laughter, then his hand brushed hers, lingered, then, God help me, she kissed him, quick, familiar. Not the first time. I froze, watched it twice, 3 times, part of me hoping I was wrong, the other part already dying. When they came back, I was waiting in the living room, phone in hand, calm, too calm. Can we talk? I said. Claire looked concerned. Adam smug, like he'd already won. I tapped play. Silence. Claire's face drained. James, no. I stood up. I don't want excuses, I want the truth. How long? Adam leaned against the wall. Does it matter? I turned to him, fists clenched. You came into my home, you smiled at my table, you let me call you family. Claire whispered. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. I snapped. And you let it. Adam chuckled. You were always the second choice, brother. Claire just figured it out. Something inside me broke, but not in anger, in clarity. You two deserve each other, I said, and I deserve peace. I walked to the door, opened it wide. Get out, both of you, now. No more second chances. No more trying to be the bigger man. My brother wasn't lost, he was a trespasser, and Claire, she wasn't confused, she was complicit. That night, I changed the locks, and this time, I didn't look back. 3 days after I kicked them out, my parents showed up unannounced. They didn't ask how I was, they didn't ask if I was okay. My mother walked in like she owned the place, my father trailing behind like he always did. You need to forgive him, she said. This is your brother. I laughed, sharp, humorless. Forgive him? For sleeping with my wife? Dad crossed his arms. You pushed them away. Claire was lonely, and Adam. He's always struggled. Maybe if you weren't so cold. My fists clenched. Are you serious? You're blaming me? Mom sighed. We're a family, we don't throw each other out over mistakes. I looked at them, really looked, and it hit me. They weren't here to comfort me, they were here to protect their golden son. You've never stood up for me, I said quietly. Not once. I win scholarships. You say Adam needs support. I build a life. You ask me to share. He destroys it, and somehow it's still my fault. Don't be dramatic, Dad muttered. I pointed to the door. Get out. They didn't move. I said get out, and next time you want to talk about family, remember I was never part of yours. The silence they left behind felt familiar, but this time, it didn't hurt. It confirmed what I'd known for years. I was never the son they wanted, just the one they tolerated. They thought I'd disappear quietly. Instead, I got focused. I hired a top attorney, sharp, efficient, ruthless. I handed over the footage. Messages, bank statements. Turns out Adam and Claire weren't just betrayers, they were scammers, fake consulting, stolen funds, shady shell companies, and they weren't just targeting me. My lawyer helped me contact others. 3 victims of Adam's business deals. We formed a class action suit, froze accounts, issued subpoenas. Their assets crumbled in weeks. When my parents tried to sue me for emotional distress, we countersued. For defamation, under oath, their lies unraveled. The courtroom was cold, but the verdict was fire. Judgment in our favor, damages awarded, Claire's account seized, Adam facing fraud charges. They lost everything, and I, finally, stood tall. 2 weeks after the trial, Claire showed up, holding a baby. "He's yours," she said. I didn't flinch. "We'll see, a paternity test later." The truth hit harder than any verdict. He was mine. Adam fled the state. Warrant pending. My parents estranged, clinging to a fantasy where they weren't complicit. Claire tried to negotiate custody. My lawyer laughed. "Now? I'm raising my son, on my terms, with love, structure, truth." Therapy helped me process the past, not forget, but understand. I rebuilt my business. My home feels like mine again. People say betrayal breaks you. Sometimes, it frees you. I learned boundaries. I learned value. And most of all, I learned that I was never invisible. I just needed to stop dimming my light for those who refused to see it. This isn't revenge. It's rebirth.